must say that these random fun facts will entertain, enlighten, and totally blow your mind. Okay, so let's get straight to the facts. Oh no. Ooh, they're not numbered. Isn't great, but that's okay. Okay, so fact. The world's oldest wooden wheel has been around for more than 5,000 years. It was found in 2002, approximately 12 miles south of a place that I can't pronounce. Oh, the capital of Slovenia. It's the capital of Slovenia and is now housed in the city's museum. Radiocarbon dating was used to determine the wheel's age, which is somewhere between 5,100 and 5,350 years old. Closer to home, these are the oldest tourist attractions in every state. Oh, it's linking to an article for the oldest tourist attractions in every state. That kind of sounds interesting. Even though Slovenia isn't in the U.S., and I wonder if that article is just the U.S. But yeah, the oldest wooden wheel. Yeah, that's pretty old, 5,000 years old. Fact. Dead skin cells are a main ingredient in household dust. Yummy. Here's an interesting science fact for you. According to researchers at Imperial College London, humans shed around 200 million skin cells each hour. 200 million skin cells each hour. 200 million skin cells each hour. And they have to go somewhere when we're indoors. If the idea of skin dust isn't sitting with you, you should know that a report from the American Chemical Society found a skin oil called squalene, squalene, naturally helps reduce indoor ozone levels by up to 15%. I wouldn't say that's great though, 15%. It's not like 50% helps reduce by 50% or 100%. No, only a measly 15. I think the solution is just dusting more. And next fact. Sudan, the country, has more pyramids than any country in the world. Oh, more than Egypt. Not only does Sudan have more pyramids than Egypt, but the numbers aren't even close. While 138 pyramids have been discovered in Egypt, Sudan boasts around 255. I like how it's like 138 pyramids have been discovered in Egypt, mammal, weighing in at 0.05 to 0.07 ounces, with a head-to-body length of 1.14 to 1.29 inches, and a wingspan of 5.1 to 5.7 inches. The bumblebee bat, also known as Kitty's hog-nosed bat, is the smallest mammal in the world, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. To see this tiny bat for yourself, you'd have to visit one of a select few limestone caves on the Kauai Noi River in Kanchanaburi province of southwest Thailand. Okay, next fact. The circulatory system is more than 60,000 miles long. If a child's entire circulatory system, we're talking veins, arteries, capillaries, were laid out flat, it would stretch for more than 60,000 miles, according to the Franklin Institute. By the time we reach adulthood, our bodies have become home to approximately 100,000 miles of blood vessels. It's a lot of veins. Fact. There are parts of Africa in all 4 hemispheres. Oh, that is interesting. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. For people whose education was largely focused on the Western world, it may be surprising to find out how huge the continent of Africa is. For instance, it spans all 4 hemispheres and covers nearly 12 million square miles. What's interesting about that is, like, between the North and South Hemisphere, the seasons are opposite. But I guess when you're that close to the equator, then it's just hot all the time. I guess this happens in maybe Central America, I'm not actually sure, where it crosses on the Western Hemisphere. But yeah, it must be just very hot near the equator, and then the further you go out from the equator, the more prominent those seasons become. Like, I don't even know. But that's interesting. There's so many ads in this article. Fact. The cornea is one of only 2 parts of the human body without blood vessels. The cornea is the clear part of the eye that covers the pupil and other parts of the eye. Cartilage and the cornea are the only types of tissue in the human body that do not contain blood vessels, according to the scientists at Harvard Department of ophthalmology, which is OPHTH. So it's PH then TH, that's ophthalmology. OPHTHALMOLLOGY. Oop. That's a crazy word. That's a crazy word for me to try to crazy. That's crazy. The blood vessels fact, that's crazy, but like, okay, interesting. And cartilage, because that makes sense too. But the name of that eye research center is really stumping me. Fun fact. The world's first animated feature was made in Argentina. Even if you know a lot of Disney trivia, you might assume that the honor of first animated feature belongs to Walt Disney's 1937 movie Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. But 20 years earlier, a full-length animated feature film was made in Argentina. It was a political satire called El Apostol, made up of 58,000 drawings and a running time of 70 minutes. Wow, that's a long movie too. Well, I guess maybe Snow White was probably that long too. But like, yeah, 58,000 drawings. That's a lot. Okay, I'm going to start tapping on the coaster, the infamous coaster. The next fact says, German chocolate cake was invented in Texas. The German part of German chocolate cake comes from an American man, not a European country. Specifically, it's named after Sam German, who in 1852 created the formula for a mild, dark baking chocolate bar for Baker's Chocolate Company, which was subsequently named Baker's German's Sweet Chocolate. Fast forward to June 13th, 1957, and the Dallas Morning Star published the recipe for the fake cake, invented and submitted by a reader identified as Mrs. George Clay. Interesting. So it was like this American guy with the last name of German, and then somebody submitting it, the recipe somewhere. Oh, the recipe for the cake. And they were calling it a German chocolate cake because it's using German chocolate. But the German chocolate isn't coming from Germany. It's coming from this guy named Sam German. Got it. I don't really know what German chocolate cake is. Do you guys hear that? It's the sound of my furnace. I honestly love the sound of furnaces because it made me feel warm. But this one is loud, very loud, very loud, very loud. Next fact says Marla Gibbs continued to work as a flight attendant for 2 years after being cast on a hit TV show. That's cool. Prior to taking her place on the stoop of 277, Marla Gibbs played the housekeeper Florence on The Jeffersons, a spinoff of All in the Family. I wonder right now if that girl who said that is a full-time influencer or not. She totally could be. Okay, so we only Next fact. The Philippines consists of 7,641 islands. The Philippines is an archipelago. Guys, I cannot pronounce some of the words in this article. Archipelago. I was gonna say, but I've definitely heard this word in like geography or something, which means it's made up of a group of islands. 7,641 islands to be exact. That figure does not include the thousands of sandbars and other landforms that emerge during low tide. That's cool. That's a lot of islands. So it's like when people are like, I'm from the Philippines, it's like, where? What island? And I wonder how close each island is. Like, are they swimmable to each other? Next fact says, a one-way trip on the Trans-Siberian Railroad involves crossing 3,901 bridges. Not only is the Trans-Siberian Railway the longest railroad in Russia, but it's also one of the longest in the world. The journey takes 7 days, during which time passengers pass through 8 different time zones, goddamn, and cross 3,901 bridges. I wonder how many of the bridges are like snowy, beautiful, picturesque bridges. Or at least that's what I imagine. Like, I imagine the Trans-Siberian Railway to be like the Polar Express, and like, I know that's probably not true. I was like, next fact, Sephora cyber sale is here, but no. No, that's just an ad. Next fact says, the Golden Girls was supposed to have a different theme song. That's right. Instead of Andrew Gould's iconic Thank You for Being a Friend, the show's producers wanted to use a Bette Midler song, Friends, according to Jim Colucci, the author of the book Golden Girls Forever, an unauthorized book behind Lanai, but the rights was once America's fifth largest city. Cleveland. Data from the 1920 U.S. Census indicates that Cleveland, Ohio, was one of the most heavily populated cities in the country, behind only Detroit, Philadelphia, Chicago, and New York. Oh, Cleveland. That's like how, I don't know when, I guess when it was first built, the Chrysler Building was like the tallest building in the U.S. Probably not the world, but in the U.S. for like the 6 months after it was built. Okay. Just taking some nice deep breaths. I have no clue how that sounds. That might be a little too abrasive, but I hope you relaxed. You are asleep. And you have a great day. Okay. Good night. 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 Good night.